Hello everyone, I'm your host, your SCP host, Skills to Play, and welcome to a bit of a different video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing, and I guess really just I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the latest PEARS changelog of the changes that are coming to the game. Spoiler alert, one of them is kind of controversial. Anyways, let's get right into it. Actually, I think I will start with the biggest one, the biggest change that I think everyone's really going to be talking about. 079 is no longer going to be able to lock doors. This is big because 079, at least early game, from what I've seen, relies a lot, and this actually happens to me too, relies a lot on locking the doors, especially if the SCP team that you're playing with isn't the best. Locking doors makes it a little better, because that lets them, kill them. This is going to be very interesting because it's going to make 079 have to play a little smarter. They can't just lock the door and be like, all right, go kill them. I guess what you could do to slow them down is you could like go in front of someone, open a door, and close it on them. That would be kind of like pseudo locking them. It would delay them a little bit longer. So for SCPs like 173 could catch up. Other ones like 049 would be able to catch up as well. But yeah, this change, especially to like a lot of, especially 079 players, it's going to be very controversial to them depending on, what kind of playstyle they have. But I think, for me at least, this change, 079's change, is going to be very interesting. His lockdown ability, like for locking rooms though, is unaffected. Definitely it's going to promote playstyle changes. And for SCPs, and the other SCPs in the team, it's going to have to force them to actually get better as well. Because they can't just rely on 079 for everything. They have to actually pull their own weight as well. I do notice this sometimes when I'm 079. That some of the SCPs I play with aren't the best, and that's fine. Like, not everyone's great or good at the game, but it's gonna like force you to, I guess, communicate more with the your 079, and to make sure that you can actually like work together and figure out like, oh hey, can you get this door down? Can you do whatever? It's gonna be a very interesting change. All right, moving on, we're actually gonna move back to like the top of the document. I'll leave the document in the description as well. If you do want to go read it for yourself, I think it's a good read, and it shows where the game is going. Also, the Q&A video will be out soon. I'll get that out, don't worry. Anyways, let's talk about the reinforcement system. So, how things work now is that the MTF and Chaos Insurgency are always at a tug of war, in quotes, but pretty much what they do is they fight to have sort of dominance over the systems, or over the respawn. So, like if MTF and so like guards and scientists, if they do well, so if like scientists escape and they do damage and stuff like that, they will get more dominance per se, so they'll guarantee their spawn, and vice versa for Chaos Insurgency. If there's Insurgency and D-Class doing well, they will ensure the spawn for Chaos. Like if D-Class escape, it ensures the spawn for Chaos. Basically what they're doing now is they're going to rework that. So let's see. So they're going to use separate variable respawn timers. It's going to allow for more consistent respawns, and they're going to be overhauling the timing. So MTF will respawn between every 180 seconds and 270 seconds, and then Chaos is 210 and 300 seconds. And they do, at the end, they do say that it's still, a lot of it's still chance, so none of the things are guarantees. Also, at the start of the round, a 90-second delay occurs before each team's individual timers begin. So, yeah. Because of this, it means that the teams can spawn close to each other, like adjacent to each other, at relatively close intervals. So, how it's sort of going to work now is that the teams are going to fight to increase their supply of tokens, as they call them. So, at the beginning, the teams are going to have enough to secure their own team's ability to respawn 3 times. And then the amount of tokens given by each action, so like escaping, taking SCP items with you, stuff like that, remains unchanged, but the team needs 20 tokens to be able to respawn. So they also do add this, is that if a team runs out of tickets and no members of its class are remaining in the play, the team is eliminated from the round and will not be able to respawn. So then obviously for the increased amount of waves, they're lowering the size of the waves, and it scales the server size now. And I'll include a picture of how that looks in for MTF and CI. So for the chart, basically what it means is that it shows you the scaling of the players. So like if say, they see that 25 slots, the worst case of players that could spawn is 7.8, so about 8 players. And then the best case is about 11 players. So it's You get around it, but that's really how many players would spawn, and it also shows the SCPs. And it also notes here that, you know, as more teams respawn, the higher ranking people in that team, so like lieutenants in MTF, and then like marauders or oppressors in Chaos, they're gonna spawn more often, as like each team respawns more often as well. And also another thing is that people who were part of a militant faction before they died, so before they respawn, so say D-class, they're part of the Chaos technically, so it may not spawn them as MTF if they were D-class. It'll probably spawn them more likely as Chaos when that comes around. But again, it's still all chance based, it's all RNG, so you can, even if you're a D-class, you can still spawn as MTF. So yeah. And they also note additionally that Chaos are now valid targets for SCPs. That's why in the last one you had to kill, I think, more than half of the Chaos at the end of the game as SCPs to get the SCP victory, as they no longer really win together. Well, technically they still win together, but they can't have a whole wave. They need to have like less than half to be able to win. And then also the Chaos can have to kill the SCPs to get their win. So because of this whole new system, they're making some preventions to help ease the amount of stalling that might happen. So 079 is going to have a facility manager key card. Actually, before I continue, let me get my thoughts on the whole rework of the system. I think it's definitely needed. Obviously, well, maybe not needed, but I think it being changed is a good thing. Obviously, we're going to have more feel for it once we actually get to test it next Saturday on the 18th. By the way, go to the Patreon and give them money if you want to participate. I'll be there, obviously. I'll be streaming it because it's on Saturday. So I'll be streaming the PEARS test. And then, yeah, anyways, I always say this, it's going to be interesting. I'm not, like, too attached, I guess, to one system compared to one system to another. I think reworking it is better for the more longevity of the game, because I think this is better overall than what we have now. I think what we have now makes sense. The new one also makes sense. Like, they both make sense. Just more so, I guess. I think this one does make a little more sense. So they're trying to reduce the amount of time in Spectator, because you still spend about 5 minutes in Spectator, which is kind of long. It's a long time to sit in Spectator. If you like died like right at the beginning of the game, you're sitting there for minutes, and that is not fun. Yeah, I think I will withhold my opinion on it, I guess, because I don't really have a developed opinion, just rating it. I think actually experiencing it in game will be better, though I never really paid attention much to the respawn stuff. I just kind of play the game. So I think this is going to be very interesting, though, for people respawning and how people kind of take it. Yeah, going back to the stall prevention, respawn waves also can no longer occur outside of Alpha Warhead, like after it detonates, but they can still respawn during it. And then once it detonates, you're gonna have base game radiation. So if you've played any modded servers, you've probably seen some servers have a thing after the warhead. There's radiation that slowly kills you, as to prevent the round from going on for longer than 30 minutes. So yeah, increases by intensity every minute. So also, this is gonna help reduce the amount of camping that's happening, and for people to play more aggressively, especially SCPs. And SCPs, because they're larger health pools, will take 5 times more radiation damage. So yeah, intensity level 1, players lose 1% maximum health per second. Level 2, it's 2%. Level 3, it's 4%. And level 4, 7%. So, quite a lot. It's kind of like decontamination, and decontamination was nerfed. Probably just reusing the code for decontamination. I would not blame them if they were. I mean, if they have a whole new system, yeah, but if I was a developer, I'd just reuse the code, change the values. Boom! Done. Well, okay, it's probably not that easy, but another big change is 1853's rework. So 1853 is no longer to be stackable, which means that you can't just take multiple and have better effects. So it's going to receive scaling based on a new system called Danger. So for every point of danger accrued, 1853's effects are increased by 50%. Its effect is capped at 3.5 times the base value. So I'll have a chart for the danger increases. As you can see there, it's kind of interesting. And then I'll also show the scalable effects. So you have 50% increase in item pickup speed, 20% decrease in weapon recoil, 20% reduction in reload time, or reload unload time, 20% reduction in weapon manual operation time, so shotgun pump, revolver cock, revolver double action, 20% reduction in ADS enter and exit time, and then 20% decrease in weapon accuracy, 20% reduction in use times in medical items, grenades, SCP items, and candy. And it says determine the maximum values and multiply it by 3.5. And then some non-scalable effects. Stamina penalties are removed. Background ambience is slightly quieter. And semi-automatic weapons can now be fired automatically by holding down the fire button. Ooh, that's interesting. Especially for the COM 15. God, I do not like the COM. Alright, yeah, as I said earlier, 009's ability to lock doors is removed. This is going to be very controversial, but I talked about it earlier, so you can go back and listen to it if you want to. And 173, it's obviously from last time, spawns in the Alpha Warhead silo, and then can now hold a blank charge when observed for 1 second less. So you cannot hold it for as long as you can now. For 049, the base human shield increased to 300. Maximum human shield is now 600. 049 can revive corpses that have been dead for as long as 15 seconds from 10 seconds. Base movement speed is increased to 4.2 meters per second, and the cooldown for failing to activate Good Sense of the Doctor has been reduced to 2.5 seconds from 5 seconds. And the radio, which actually, that's a little bit of a curious change, the radio now has 200% of its current battery life, so it has like double the battery life. I think that's math. Yeah. So for 1853, the changes, I think it not being stackable, and I feel like I'm always positive about the changes. I never have any negative changes because I don't really use it enough, but I think this is actually kind of an interesting system for 1853 because now it's no longer just kind of like an item that you use and you just get benefits. It's more of a incentive to use it. It makes you play a little more, it makes you play differently. I think like the way I'm thinking about it is that you take it with the intent to be a little more dangerous, to take more risks. Obviously, you have the non-status effect related damage, so taking like, gunshot damage, stuff like that, is going to increase your danger. Encountering SCPs, having the Warhead be on, an active target of 9.6, and cardiac arrest is also one of them. So having that, it makes you want to get those effects to get more danger, so you can like be better with the 1853. And I think that's honestly actually kind of fun. I might try and do a challenge video doing 1853 only. Like I can only shoot or like only kill people in 1853 and I have to like be as dangerous as possible. I might actually do that. That sounds like fun. Anyways, that's my take on that. I think it'll make the item more fun. And that's for like the spawns and stuff, like respawn waves, spawning, can't spawn during Alpha Warhead, containment chamber, 079's containment chamber now having a facility manager. Those are nice changes. Helps with stalling. Those are nice. Radiation is also nice as well. 173 new spawning. It's nice also because it has that effect of centralizing all the SCPs into one area. I think that's nice. 079 doesn't have to go between zones instantly. That's what I do usually. I like direct the SCPs in heavy and then I go straight to 173 if there is one. I think keeping it all centralized is better for just the flow of early game because you have the guards coming in. You have the people still in light. The people in light do get more time to get ready, I guess. 173 can still rush if they know the layouts or they just get to the light elevators quickly. They can get to light very fast, and it's pretty much the same time of preparation for the human classes, but I think the main benefit is just centralizing all the SCPs. And then his blank charge, obviously. It's pretty powerful being able to hold it for so long. So this is going to encourage more, I guess, thought behind every action. So you're thinking about where you're going to go whenever you are blinking so that you can have as much time as possible to make that decision and to, like, kill the person, obviously. As for 049's changes, I think they're needed. 049 is kind of weak in terms of health. I think boosting it is better and lowering some of his cooldowns as well and upping some of his, like, benefits, I guess, is better. It lets him survive a little longer. 049 is not very survivable. Like, if you get hurt really early on, if you get, like, shot by a bunch of guards, you're not really doing too good. But now with the increase in human shield and being able to revive corpses actually 5 seconds or longer, like the corpses are able to be revived for longer. And obviously, the good sense is nice, being able to just do it more readily. If you accidentally press it and miss it, you can do it a little faster. And the radio is a nice change. You can just use the radio for longer. So if you've already played modded servers, you probably have seen the radio last longer. or maybe even last infinitely. I don't think the infinite battery is really a good gameplay feature. Yes, it's infinite communication, but I think having that battery makes it a little more realistic. Obviously, every game doesn't need to be realistic, but having some more realism elements is a little better, depending on what you're going for. But I think increasing the radio battery is good. Those are my thoughts on it. I think I covered everything, my thoughts on everything. If I missed anything, let me know. But those are my thoughts. I do want to hear your thoughts in the comments as well of what you guys think of these changes and what do you think it means for the future of the game. So yeah, that's been it from me. I'll see you in the Q&A video. Goodbye.